Am I the a-hole boarding the plane and leaving without my wife? My wife and I are parents to our daughter, Jess, who is currently attending college out of state on the East Coast. I'll refer to my wife as Meg. Jess is currently in her junior year of college. During the summer, she secured a job at her university and stayed in the dorms. However, after the summer, she moved into her own off-campus apartment. Meg and I reside in the PNW, quite a distance from Jess's college on the East Coast. We typically plan a couple of visits each semester, including Parents' Weekend and Move-Out Day, along with Jess coming home during the holidays. Let me start by mentioning that traveling with my wife can be challenging. I am a meticulous planner, always ensuring we are organized and arrive early, especially when it comes to air travel. In contrast, my wife tends to be more laid back, adopting a go-with-the-flow approach, which doesn't align with my preference, especially when flying. During Parents' Weekend last year, Meg and I had a flight scheduled to visit Jess. Our flight was at 10 a.m. And although our local airport isn't massive, it's not tiny either. I informed my wife that we needed to arrive at the airport at least 90 minutes in advance, considering our 30-minute drive and the additional time required for parking and walking. Naturally, I woke up at 6 a.m. to ensure everything was prepared and accounted for. However, my wife isn't a fan of early mornings. It took 5 attempts to wake her up, and she finally got out of bed at 7:40. She then proceeded to make coffee, take a shower, and have a bowl of cereal. Consequently, we didn't leave our home until 9. To make matters worse, the airport was busier than usual, likely due to other colleges having Parents' Weekend, and we missed our flight. Understandably, the airline refused to refund our tickets, and we were only able to secure new ones for the next day, causing us to miss a significant portion of our visit with Jess, which left her disappointed. Fast forward to our recent trip to assist Jess with her move during a long weekend. Our journey involved taking a flight from our hometown to a larger city nearby, followed by another flight to Jess's college town. Given our previous airport mishap, I emphasized the importance of leaving early to avoid missing our flight. We arrived at the airport on time, even with some spare time before our departure. However, my wife seemed irritated, complaining about having to wait for 45 minutes until the boarding process began. We completed the first leg of our journey, landing at a larger airport for our connecting flight, which was set to depart in just 1 hour. We disembarked at 9:15, and our next flight was scheduled to start boarding at 9:40. To reach our terminal, we needed to take several airport trains. We arrived at the terminal with approximately 15 minutes before our boarding time. My wife expressed a desire for Starbucks coffee, and there was a small market offering coffee and hot food next to our terminal. I offered to fetch it for her, but she insisted on going to the Starbucks, which required a train ride and some walking. I informed her that we didn't have enough time for this, but she believed otherwise. She walked away briskly, stating that she would return on time. 15 minutes elapsed, and she hadn't returned. The boarding process commenced, and I repeatedly tried calling her but received no response. After several group calls, they called our group to board. Panicked, I called my wife for the last time, and she finally answered, saying she was on her way but stuck in a long line. I informed her that boarding was almost complete, urging her to hurry. I waited by the gate, but the attendant informed me that they needed to close the gate in 2 minutes. I waited anxiously, but she didn't arrive. The attendant asked if I wanted to board, as they were about to close the gate. I pleaded with her to wait for a few more minutes, but she insisted that it wasn't possible. Consequently, I boarded the plane. Minutes later, my wife called, saying the attendant had refused her entry, as they had already removed the boarding ramp. She requested that I ask them to let me off the plane to be with her, but I declined. I believed it would be unfair to Jess to repeat the same mistake. I had warned my wife that we didn't have enough time, but she chose to go anyway. I advised her to purchase a new ticket for the next available flight, and we would meet her later. Upon arriving at Jess's school, my wife appeared unfazed by the situation and didn't discuss it much. I assumed she had recognized her mistake and wanted to move past it. However, I was mistaken. It's been over a week since our trip, and my wife has not spoken to me, insisting that I am in the wrong. So, am I the one at fault?